Okay, well, we'll see. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 5 critical steps to creating structure at home, part of our SOAR family webinar series just for you while we're all at home during this critical time. And I want to take just a second to introduce John Willson, our executive director, who is going to be sharing this information with you today. Thanks for joining us, and I hope your family is staying safe and warm and cozy. So enjoy, John. Here you go, John.
Hey, folks. So if your home is anything like my home, it's been a very different world this last little bit. As it happens, my wife is a kindergarten teacher, and so we have done a couple things. There's a couple interesting ideas I'm going to share with you today, but we want to be a resource and a support for you during this time frame. Liz has done a wonderful job of continuing to share other amazing things other organizations are doing. I am awed by the way that companies are creating opportunities for us to come together. Zoom in particular has really opened up its platform to allow communication in this kind of capacity. And so my thanks go out to them. And also, you know, I want to just share right up front, you know, the deep appreciation I have for folks on the front line, the medical personnel, the people keeping supplies open, you know, even up to, and I'll get emotional saying this, but, you know, my son is a bag boy at the local grocery store. And so, you know, he's making sure that, you know, that he's picking up hours and helping, you know, carry some of that load. And so, you know, it's an interesting time. And so I'm trying to do my little part here by sharing with you some ideas that we've nurtured and developed over the years, and please know that I have implemented all of these steps at home in order to, or a modification of them in order to try and make what we're doing at our house a little more successful. I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to the five areas that I'm going to focus on that I believe are critical is, you know, developing a sense of family guidelines up to and including what we call a full value contract, defining out what roles and responsibilities are, and I'll give you the way that we do that here at SOAR. I also believe that if you structure meals and meal planning very specifically during this time frame, you will find that that is the roadmap to so many other ways and things that you can do, because you're going to spend more time prepping, eating, and cleaning than anything else that you're going to be doing on a consistent basis. I'm going to throw out the idea of an evening meeting because I believe that that kind of connecting and sort of talking about what went well today, what didn't go well, what did we do, what are we looking forward to, how are we doing on our goals. I believe that to be important. And then work on helping set up a schedule routine. And I will give you real life strategies that we're applying at the Willson household that have been particularly wonderful. And then I'm going to close with a dearth of just fun activities that you can try and start restructuring and doing at home. Okay, so family guidelines. You know, you and your partner sit down in advance, get together and determine for yourselves very specifically what kind of guidelines you're looking for during this time frame. What are the things that are most important to you? For us, it's going to be treating each other with respect, no angry hands, and then being able to walk away from an argument for a short period of time and then being willing to kind of come back to it. I also at our house we've instituted a rule. Part of our family guidelines are that we honor the most important 15 minutes of the day, and those 15 minutes are the first 5 minutes that we get a chance to spend with each other, the 5 minutes when we all kind of come back to sort of figure out what we're doing, and the last 5 minutes that we spend together. And so allowing everybody to be a part of these guidelines, and then and having your kids invest in what do they want, what are their expectations. For instance, my son really advocated for being able to kind of manage his own schedule, and is trying to show us ways that he can do that in a supportive way. My daughter really wanted to be able to build in art time to what she was doing, and then all of us agreed on how we wanted to interact and communicate with each other in really thoughtful and purposeful ways. Because when we don't do that, and we squabble, or we get bitey, then the whole thing kind of unravels. And when you can't escape and you're all together, you want to put your best foot forward. And so one of the things that we've done is in our family guidelines, we've gone back to it and said, okay, hey, listen, what's working, what's not working. And we've had several evening meetings that have been focused around what's working, what's not working. I will tell you that I have been extraordinarily impressed with my kids in terms of them following through when I ask them to do things. And part of that is because we spent a lot of time in our initial family guideline meeting talking about, hey, listen, we're all cooped up here. This house could go to wreck in a hot second if we just went from space to space and didn't clean up after ourselves. And so, what we as parents have had to do, though, is we are the external locus of control. We are the ones saying, hey, this is what we want to see happen. Let's make a plan. And then actually, watching and making sure that that plan got followed through. Every single day, it's gotten a little better. It's gotten a little easier. And I'm getting more investment from my kids. But we are really focused on this and trying to help our family develop these guidelines that are working for us during this shelter-in-place time frame in our lives. We also had everybody sign the contract, and this is a living, breathing document. It's posted on the refrigerator. If we need to take something, modify it, edit it, we do so, and then everybody initials the amendment. I mean, we are really invested in trying to make sure that all of us are participating and following some of the guidelines that we've established. Now, an important note as part of this guideline is that we began with something called the full value contract, which was making sure that we recognize that all of us were bringing value to this equation. All of us were making a very concerted effort to participate with each other in remarkable ways and see the value that each other are bringing. My son is a worker bee, and so his value to the equation is that he's amenable, he's agreeable, he does his own thing, he can be counted on to follow through. My daughter is an artist, and she's creative and she's clever, and she brings a wonderful mood to the equation. My wife is an organizer, and she's really good at putting everybody else in front of herself, like so many mothers do. But also trying to make sure that her needs are being met as well. And I tend to be the person that helps clear the path, clear the impediments, and help folks accomplish the things that they've set to accomplish or have agreed to accomplish. And so we all discussed the value that we bring and the value we see in each other, and it was a big part of us sort of looking at each other from this perspective and this light of what you bring to the table and the remarkable things about each one of us. And this is something that I am so encouraged by. A friend of mine recently posted, hey, what has been the best thing that has come out of this shelter in place for you? And my answer was, my kids are finally doing more. My kids are actually, investing in the household and following through. And, what I get is I get that look, I ask for something and I get that look like, I don't really want to do this, but I can't say no because I know it has to be done. Okay, Dad. And I've honored that. I've told my son how much I appreciate that. But it all kind of stems from the fact that we really are trying to come at this from how we value each other. It's clearly going to be more difficult for younger children. And if you've got kids who don't get along, I would put a lot of energy in this. One of the ways that we've developed our full value contract over the years, or the idea behind that is the minute people start to squabble, I say, okay, it's time to play my favorite thing about you game. And everyone in the family, goes, oh, no. Then we play. And the way we play is that every single person gets to share their favorite thing or one of their favorite things about every person in the family. And what every one of us have found is, it's fun to share, but it's awful nice to hear the nice things that other people in the family, want to say about you that day. And I've instituted that as a big part of what we are doing on a daily basis. And so we spend time fully valuing each other. Okay, now it's roles. I mean, there's so much that has to be done. Think about it. There's cleaning up, there's sweeping, there's making sure that that projects that are started, that they don't just get left out. There's laundry, there's food prep, there's cleaning up, and so there's so many things that have to happen. But the opportunity that this may bring to you is a chance to actually have the kids, once they're at a certain age, even 8, 9, 10 years old, with a little help from a parent, could be the Yoda or the leader for the day. All right. And so the leader for the day in our house, gets to be in charge of what's happening. They make sure everyone is doing their jobs. They facilitate the family meeting. They're in charge of cleaning the kitchen table, and they help clean one bathroom. And again, I've broken this out. We've modified this at our house, although my daughter said yesterday, this seems very Soar-like, Dad. Well, it's supposed to be. And I'll share with you kind of how we did that after I give you the different roles that we've created and how I've modified those for your home. If I were to do this exactly the way that I'm describing now, I would spend a lot of time with the young person in my household who was the leader for the day. And I would encourage and nurture and ask lots of questions and give them opportunities to call family meetings or to help make sure that everything was continuing to happen the way that it was supposed to. Captain Planet, the one who's keeping it clean, making sure that that areas don't get cluttered. They anytime an area gets left, they do a sweep of the area for trash. They ensure everyone is routinely washing their hands. And in this day and age, what we've learned certainly is that hand washing is a critical part. One of the other critical things that I'm learning is that drinking liquids constantly, and not ice cold liquids, but warmer liquids on a routine basis, every little bit or so, is going to continue to help deal with some of the challenges that the coronavirus is bringing. They're the ones who bring the dishes into the kitchen for cleanup. They call for water breaks, and so they're almost also you could call them the safety officer. They're making sure folks are washing their hands, or making sure they're calling water breaks, and it's kind of fun. The person who's the Captain Planet could say, "Stop! Okay, everybody, take a water break." And there's a lot of power and control in that, because if they call for a water break, everybody's got to take a water break. They sweep the living room and the dining area. They also clean another bathroom, and they're in charge of wiping down the table after meals, because we want to keep those surfaces good and clean. The coach, the activity director, what are the different fun things that families are going to do? If you're outside playing, do you need to have a sunscreen circle? They keep up morale through songs and dance. They carry a camera. They take pictures throughout the day. They might do a slideshow that night of fun pictures. And they are in charge of unloading the dishwasher and helping with laundry. The Sherpa, the cleaner of the kitchen, and this is the job that nobody wants. This is the not fun job. And so as long as it gets spread and the wealth gets spread, and isn't the same person who is cleaning the kitchen. A fun addition to this, we had when I was growing up, we used to have these backgammon tournaments, and the president of the house could assign who had to do the dishes that night, and they had to make sure that it was in a rotation that included themselves. Just a little variation. The chef, the maker of deliciousness. All right. And so if you've got young children, this is a great opportunity to kind of work with them side by side and teach them how to cook. I've been playing with some really amazing recipes. The first time I gave this workshop the other day, this webinar, I just made carne asada for the first time. Last night I smoked ribs in the Instapot and had fall off the bone ribs in less than 45 minutes. It was pretty amazing. They serve equal portions to family members, and then they put away all the leftover food, and then they wipe down the stove. Again, breaking up the responsibilities so it doesn't all fall on one person, and you've created good, healthy routine. Structuring meals. And again, I believe, in all honesty, and I've seen this in our SOAR groups, I've seen this in our family, if you focus on how you do meals, then it's going to lead and work towards other ways that you can help create structure. But if you have got a process, everybody knows what's responsible. Everyone knows who's gonna set the table, who's gonna prep the food, who's going to serve the food, who's going to then bring the food back into the kitchen, who's going to wipe down the surfaces, who's gonna clean the group dishes, who's gonna unload the dishwasher. If all of that gets sort of mechanized, then you're eventually going to spend less time talking about it and more time just sort of falling into that pattern. And you can probably see just how remarkable that pattern is going to be as you create these routines, because routine builds structure. Structure allows for consistency, and consistency is the thing that our kids crave the most. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how we utilized this these last couple of days. Um, uh, the cook did not have to be a part of the kitchen cleanup. And so we sat down and I said, okay, here are the things that have to be done. The dishes have to be washed, the food has to be put away, and the table has to get wiped down and cleared for the next meal. Who's willing to do what? Well, the laziest one of us said, I'll do the table, but she had not done the dishes yet. And so my son, who had done the dishes the night previously, got to choose the first thing. And then I announced what I was going to do because I'd cleaned the dishes the day before that. And so then finally we all had a chance to take on jobs. It went so seamlessly and smooth because not everybody was overwhelmed with the task of what we were trying to accomplish, but yet we were able to develop that system, and we're going to do that every single night. The table has been cleared. The living room has stayed clean for days. My daughter's room has never been clean. It's been clean now for 2 weeks. There is food in the fridge. It's ready to go. And everybody is working really well together to create these systems. And it all started by focusing on meals. I've got an acronym that I use with our counselors. It's called CRAMPS. And I say, if you follow the rule of CRAMPS, then you're going to typically have a more successful experience with groups. And so perhaps I will do a whole nother webinar on what CRAMPS means. But essentially it's consistency, respect, accountability, meal times, being playful, and then the S can stand for whatever you want it to. And in my world, the S stands for structure. Okay. I also think this is a wonderful time for the kids and everybody to be involved in menu planning. Take a look. There is food that has been in your cabinets for years and years and years. If it's no good, toss it out. If it's worth cooking, then do your own version of a cooking show where you put out 4 ingredients and say, okay, let's figure out what we can make with this. But doing a meal plan, a menu plan, really will help continue to this variation of structure. And why is structure so important? Because structure brings consistency. And what do our kids need? Our kids need consistency. And so, have everybody take a day where they're doing a meal. And maybe that's the day that they're cooking that meal. And see what the ingredients are that you have in the household, and then go find a way to get the remaining ingredients. I've given you a table here to complete each day that make sure that it contains proteins, fruits, and vegetables. All right, so let's move on to the evening meeting, because the evening meeting is a unique and wonderful time frame that that has been a nice part of what we've been doing at the Willson household. And what we do is we do a quick check-in, today in history. Everyone share a fun memory for the day. We do goals and check-in. How do we do personally with our goal? Today, my goal will have been to facilitate a quality webinar. Hopefully, I'm doing so. We then have like a little processing activity, and at our house, those include something like a rosebud or a thorn. What was my rose of the day? What was my thorn of the day? I've announced that you can share two roses, but you can't share two thorns. We also have another kind of fun we do, which is a thank you circle. Thank you for helping me with, getting that meal prepped, or I really appreciated, that you came into the garage while I was cleaning up my workstation and helped me figure out where to put some things. And then we exchange the roles for the next day. Or just talk about what is happening the next day, and so that everyone is kind of on the same page. Um, I think it's super important to recognize that the evening meeting grounds us in really remarkable ways that allow us to reflect on what's happening, what happened, and then think about what's going to happen moving forward. Learn from the challenges that we had today, and then talk about, as a family, how could we have improved this structure? What worked, what didn't work? Because again, this structure is going to be an evolving, living, breathing thing as long as you keep feeding life to it. If you ignore it and you just kind of let everybody do their own thing, you know what's going to happen. Kids are going to, sleep in, stay up late. They're not going to follow through with their responsibilities. You're going to find yourself more frustrated. So again, why structure is so important is because it breeds consistency. It allows for people to hold each other and themselves accountable, and it creates expectations that we can then follow. And what we've learned year after year after year with our kids is when we create those opportunities for folks to learn from each other and learn that or be able to move forward with knowing what was happening, we're always much more successful. All right, so here are a couple of processing ideas that I wanted to share with you. How did you help someone today? What was a challenging moment for you today, and how did you get through it? This is a fun one. If you could possess a superpower, what would it be and why? My answer has always been the same. I would be able to leap bounce like the Hulk. When he jumps up and then he bounces, and sometimes I actually get a chance to do that. I'll go to the grocery store and I'll run with the cart and I'll jump and glide through the air until I land, and jump and glide through the air till, okay, yeah, I'm a kid. At heart, there's still a little 12-year-old boy inside here on occasion. Sometimes it's fun to let people, know what they appreciate about yourself. What do I appreciate about myself? An example would be that, I appreciate that I'm able to still unlock that 12-year-old child inside of me and have fun. I appreciate that I can, carry that balance between focusing on structure and then also being playful. And I appreciate that, that during this time frame, me and my team are rolling up our sleeves and trying to find ways to help all of you get through this, very difficult time. What are three things about you? Right, just take a moment. We're in this webinar. If any of you want to put in the comment sections three things that you appreciate about yourself, I would love that. Be becoming an active participant, because there are things that you bring to the equation that are really powerful. If you could have dinner with anyone living or dead, who would you choose and why? For me, that's easy. I would have a chance to spend one more meal with my dad, and then I talk about that and with the kids, and they, we've shared that. If money was no object, where would you go and what would you do? What do you do when you need to relax? And it's interesting. Everybody in our household has a different way to relax. Um, my wife reads. My son plays on the computer with his friends. My daughter will invest in an art project, and I often can be found in the garage working on some type of woodworking project or designing what my next project will be. A thank you circle. Hey, thank everybody for what they did today. Uh, I've already talked about the rose and thorn. Um, who's someone in your life that you rely on? How do they support you? Tell a trait that you saw or admire in someone. Everyone, close your eyes, take deep breaths, and take a and share a picture of what makes you happy. I'm going to do that with you now because I want to make a point that's kind of powerful. Go ahead and close your eyes, listening to my voice. Take a deep breath in, and then out again, into the nose, out through the mouth. And I want you to visualize a place of healing, a place of renewal, a place where that you're going to get healthy. All right. Uh, Listen to the sounds that are in that place. Visualize, look around you. What do you feel on your face and your hands? What's the temperature? Think about what that place looks like. Now, I'm sure that those of you that chose to participate, most likely what you shared, what you saw in your mind's eye was some type of scenic landscape. Maybe you're laying in a hammock on an island, or you're at a lake, or you're in the woods and there's a river, by. And most of you probably have some sort of outdoor idea about what that looks like. I'm also just as confident that not a single one of you in your mind's eye had a picture of a hospital or a school, a place of healing, a place of renewal. And so, recognizing how important the outdoors is a really kind of important thing. And so one of the fun ways that you might do your evening meeting, if possible, if you've got the ability to have like a little campfire, is to do it outside and make it interesting. Be the more you can be outside in your little world, uh, the better off you're going to be, because the world the world right now needs a little bit of sunshine and the outside. Um, there's you might make a bag of things, fill them with random items like maybe a yo-yo, or a picture of something, or a magazine, or a remote control, and then you pull out, and then you have to relate how life is like this thing. We use a lot of the metaphoric transfer of learning, and so it's kind of fun to practice. Life is like this yo-yo because sometimes there's ups and sometimes there's downs, or life is life is like magazine, because I want to put these wonderful things that are happening to me and make the memories so that I can go back and think about the remarkable things that I've accomplished or done. Play charades, and then often the idea of popcorn is, that you don't have to go in a circle as you're sharing. If you're ready to share an idea, you just pop up and you share it with the family, or, versus just going in a circle and having everybody take turns. Just a couple processing ideas that I think are a lot of fun and can be a wonderful resource to what you're bringing to the evening meeting. All right, schedule. I wanted to talk about schedule because I think that creating schedule is absolutely one of the 5 most essential things that you can do in your family in this capacity during this time frame. And part of the reason is that when people know what the expectations are, they can follow through with the expectations. One of the things that we're doing at the Willson household is we've got these markers that we can erase, and on the glass door going out to the backyard, we've written down the schedule. And then on the next door next to it, we've written down checklists of things that need to be accomplished. And my kids have had so much fun going off and crossing off one of the things that they accomplished, and then reviewing what the schedule is. You could do it on a whiteboard. You could do it on a piece of paper even that was tacked somewhere. But these are some ideas about creating a daily schedule routine. And for us at the Willson household, it has been imperative that we have a wake up time, because my kids need to have some measure of structure rather than just sort of sleeping in until they're ready to wake up. And just as equally important has been how we're going to end the day, and not let it linger into late night. Um, and so I offer here some ideas about what a daily schedule might look like, so that you're creating that essential routine that is going to allow families to continue to function in a healthy and positive way. This is the loose outline. This is what it might look like filled out. And again, you know, every family is going to be reasonable. Our wake up time is later than this 7 a.m. wake up time. It's been pushed to closer to 8, breakfast to 8:39. You know, chores, then the time that we've allotted for each of the school projects. You know, how kids are doing lunch. Uh, we have added art and free play into our experience. You know, there's dinner preparation. Every night we're doing something from a family, whether it's watching a movie or playing a card game or having a campfire, or, you know, just doing something fun and creative. And then we've established a bedtime. Our bedtime's a little later than this bedtime that I've indicated here, but again, I've got older kids. Okay, I'm going to close out with some other fun activities. Write stories together, create an art project, and then have an art show. The other day, my daughter had a quick change outfit, and she and my wife did a modeling show, and so they were modeling some new outfits or crazy outfits, and they were having a ball doing it. Watch a movie and make popcorn. I'll fix that edit here. Catch a beautiful sunset. You know, I mean, if it is safe to do so, and you can drive to a location where you know there's going to be a really remarkable place to catch a sunset, it is an incredible way to end your day. Set a $10 limit and see who can buy the most interesting item online. You know, and make a family TikTok. Ask your kids. Play tag games. There's freeze tag, hospital tag, lots of fun different tag games that just get you outside, running around and playing with the kids. Do a science experiment. Online, there's lots of ideas online. Play video games together. You know, I mean, your kids love video games. And if you just are willing to invest and jump in, you know, we've got a couple different things. We've got we've been playing Wii tennis and playing videos together. You can be in different rooms and play games online together. And perhaps your kids can guide you on how some of their favorite games. Windy days are a great day to fly a kite. I even have one that's a stunt kite with 2 handles. And so everyone takes turns seeing who can get the coolest, the kite to do the coolest, funnest stunt. Barbecue 1 night a week or 2 nights a week, and then make a big deal about it, right? Because it's a thing. You're wanting to create uniqueness, opportunity, along with structure, but you want to infuse some sort of fun things. Create an obstacle course. Pitch a tent, sleep outside, roast marshmallows. Play with squirt guns and water balloons. You know, I've been doing. I personally have been looking at paper airplanes and looking at some origami ways to make some advanced paper airplanes, and we're gonna have a flying contest sometime next week. Have a dance and karaoke party. You know, the little Google machine that you say, hey Google, or hey Siri, and we just have a dance party. Write and produce a play together, maybe even do a video of it and share it, you know, with other family members. If you're like us, there's a variety of different Legos in the house. You could, you know, make a big pile that they don't get used anymore, and then have like a little Lego build-off. And then one of the things I haven't done yet, but I'm working on, is my own version of an escape room that I'm going to put together for the family, with clues to how to open up the briefcase. You know, clues that once they're in the briefcase that lead you to other clues, that kind of get you out. Or better yet, let the kids come up with ideas. Let them figure out some unique and fun things to do. Again, I really deeply appreciate some of the ideas that I've gotten from other families, and I certainly hope that some of these ideas continue to be something that spur your thoughts and ways that you can, in really remarkable ways, create that structure at home that is going to allow you to be especially successful when we're kind of all on top of each other. Because remember, structure creates consistency. Consistency is desperately needed by our kids. All right, I'd love to open up the floor and ask any questions that folks may have.
Hey, John, that was really great information. I was going to read some comments. Thank you for doing this. And what was the definition of cramps again?
Consistency, respect, accountability, meal times, be playful, and then structure.
Perfect. And then another question was, can we get a copy of your slides? And I wanted to let everybody know that we're going to post this webinar, as we have our other past webinars, on the SOAR website under Family Support and Alumni. And then you would just click that and then click webinars. And I will send you that link after we get this all wrapped up and in the can. So anybody can visit it anytime. Are there any other questions popping in? I also, while you're thinking or maybe typing, I also want to let you know that we sent out an invite this morning to our next webinar, which will be on Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And it is about how to motivate the non-compliant child. And a lot of what John talked about today is making that, making sure your child feels part of a team. I really heard that bubble up, throughout the webinar today. And that, and I've had a lot of parents comment, boy, they did so good at SOAR, but then when they come home, and I think it's that team part of it. What do you think, John?
Well, I think so. I think that it is critical to, to continue to allow for, for these kids to bring their own kind of energy to the equation, but also, and be who they are, but also using the opportunity to sort of accentuate that for themselves. Hey, I wanted to mention that that Jennifer indicated, she wrote, I prepare healthy meals for my family. I insist on including whimsy in my life, and I make sure that animals are important and treated that way. And that reminded me of another fun activity that we've done, which is called the Council of All Beings. And the way the council works is that everybody, you could take a bag or somehow make a mask, and everybody choose an animal that they're going to represent. And then they then take a look at that animal. They'll research that animal online. They'll make a headdress for that animal, and then they'll actually have a meeting. And during the meeting, they'll talk about how humans impact their environment and a list of recommendations they would give to humans about how they could better serve their species in a more thoughtful way. The Council of All Beings, kind of another fun activity that you could include as a very good, unique opportunity to create structure, but also fun into some of these evenings that you're having.
We have another question, and we've had this question before, and I know you've addressed it in the past, but do you have any ideas for adapting this structure to a very small clan if it's just a single parent and a son?
Yeah, I think absolutely, and I'm the most critical piece of this is creating the structure so that it's consistent each day. And for, if it was just me, a partner, and one child, we would decide in advance, okay, today who's doing what, and then how can we help each other? All right, these will be our responsibilities today, and then that evening we'll see how it went, and then we'll decide tomorrow who's going to do what. So that if everybody knows in advance what their expectations are, and it's it's really helpful. Also, in the morning time, it's a great idea to you know, to make sure that you update the list of the expectations that are going to happen that day, not just for the child, but for everybody in the house, because, you know, because that is a terrific opportunity to, you know, to make sure that you're sharing the idea that we're really all in this together.
Right, right. Another question, and then we have Jean Weiss has her hand up, and I'm going to let her speak in a minute. So, Jean, hang in there. But the next question is, what do you do when your child says, "I don't feel like it. I just don't feel. I'm not." Yeah.
Well, I would tune into the workshop that we're doing in 2 days, but ultimately there are you know, 3 things that you have to look at. You know, one is, can you sidestep? You know, what is the issue? What is the problem? Can you solve the problem that is preventing them from doing the thing that you need or want them to do? Ross Green, I heard him once say, kids will do well if they can. So, you know, figure out, is there a problem that, or an impediment to allowing them to move forward in a thoughtful way? The second is, you know, can you just pitch in together and make this happen together and do it in a way that feels collaborative versus, you know, do it because I said so. And then of course, you know, the third is do it because I said so. But the do it because I said so typically has consequences, and so you have to determine, you know, is the juice worth the squeeze for them? Is the juice worth the squeeze for you? How do you move them from a place of non-compliance to compliance, and in really thoughtful, purposeful ways? And so we're going to really invest in that question on a Thursday, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that with you on the Thursday, Liz.
Oh, perfect. We need you there. Jean, I'm going to allow you to talk. So if you have a question, let us know. I'm going to unmute your mic if you're ready. Let me see. There you go. You're ready to go.
Hi. Hi, I'm calling from California, and I actually used Zoom before, so I didn't realize that I could chat as opposed to raise my hand. You answered my question, which was about single parent and singleton child. Some of what has been shared, it just feels like it would be more fun if there were more people, and so I don't exactly know how to bridge that gap.
Okay. I would love to, you know, I really had not thought about this in terms of one parent, one child, but that's a great observation. And one of the things that you can do in the one parent, one child scenario is to decide, are there things that you always want to do and you always want them to do, or are there ways that you can kind of switch it up, mix it up? You can also turn things into, you know, a bit of a contest, like, you know, even like baking. One of a fun way that I created competition without there being competition is my daughter baked some cookies, and she baked a from scratch cookie, and she baked Nestle Toll House cookies. And I challenged her to see if her from scratch cookies could be as good as the Nestle Toll House cookies. And so then, you know, then I got the chance to be Cookie Monster. And that was just a interaction that the two of us had, you know, finding creative, fun ways for her to kind of invest in something that she loved, which is, you know, baking, and then also, you know, something I love, which is eating cookies. So, but
well done.
but you can you can do that in just really remarkable ways. But so much of that is, okay, you know, involving them in the planning process of what that's going to look like. Hey, we're going to do dinner tonight. You know, what do you think? Do you want to help me cook? Do you want to be the one that cleans? Do you want to cook? You know, and how do you want that to look like? And you're actually having a conversation about what kind of structure you're going to create so that you're all part of that equation together. That is such a critical part of the structure piece that I'm trying to promote in this process, is that creating that structure together gives them a voice, and then that empowers them. And when you create empowerment, you create buy-in, which might lead to less of the previous question, which is, no, I don't wanna.
Right. Thanks, Jean, for your question. I'm going to mute
Thank you
again. So there we go. And then we have a couple of more questions in the chat box. Let me see if I can start at the beginning here. It said, thank you so much. I'm learning so much as a parent about meeting my teens' love language. And that's something we'll talk about a little bit on Thursday as well.
The one above that, Laura, Liz, the one above that talks about what are suggestions for families where parents both are trying to work from home.
There you go. Yep, I missed that one. Good.
And I wanted to say, you know, at our house, we have really worked hard to make sure everybody has a delineated space. All right. So everybody has a workspace that they're operating from, and we have time frames in which we are checking in with our kids, but then also going back to our workspace and focusing on what we've got to accomplish. But the way we've made that happen is by making sure that we are taking small breaks from what we're doing to kind of check in and make sure that they're following through and that their needs are being met in their workspaces. Honestly, folks, you know, because you're raising these kids, if you just leave them to their own devices, it's not going to be successful. They require some level of investment and involvement and observation from you to kind of help create that external locus of control. And so talking with your spouse about, you know, how to make that work. And so both of you are, you know, doing these check-ins that are not just, hey, how's it going, but more purposeful and asking very specific questions about how much is being accomplished, or did they finish the social studies homework? Did they get those 7 questions answered? You know, being in the know. But everybody having their own operational space. And then also, you know, if there's going to need to be quiet, like, you know, we are actually, you know, doing construction here at SOAR right now. And the construction stopped for this webinar so that there wouldn't be the distraction of construction noise behind me. And so, you know, having those conversations about how to protect each other's space during that time frame. And then that goes for your kids too, who might be taking an online test. And so, you know, and then I would invest, if I were you, I would invest in making those individual spaces quality spaces for our kids, and then asking them what they needed in order to have those spaces be good spaces for them. And so, you know, those are just a couple of suggestions that I have in regards to having everybody trying to work from home at the same time.
Right. And then the next one, my kids are loving the menus I posted on the fridge. This is a new habit since the quarantine. Good job. And trying to
even better yet would be next week, have them help create the menus so that they know what is on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they've had some buy-in as to what is being made. And
right.
You know, so what if, you know, hot dogs and mac and cheese is one day on the menu, you know? And maybe find a way to make sure that some vegetables work their way into the dish.
Exactly. I'm gonna jump to the next one. The environment is so crucial, and a lot of times students have a separated sense of responsibility at home versus SOAR. How do we change the environment and support the students? I suppose changing the environment as far as room, living room, homeschool area to achieve the most during education periods.
So that's a really astute observation, because, you know, if the environment doesn't have some type of shift, then it feels like same old. And so but you could do that in really interesting ways. You know, you could find a way where a sign gets pulled or posted that turns, you know, someone's bedroom into their homeschool office, right? You know, and so you've delineated that, yes, it was your bedroom, but now because the sign is posted, it is now your homeschool central. You know, and if you spend some time reorganizing that space so that you can think about it in terms of, okay, this is your sleeping area and this is your new study space, and make changes to that space, it might allow for, you know, that change of environment. Or you just have other folks switch to different parts of the house. The one area that no one is, you know, there's a little desk off the side to the living area, but we all kind of congregate in the living room, and no one is using that space as their central space. That's the space that we as a family will kind of collect and have our meetings and hang out and talk. And so we've identified a space that is sacrosanct for community. And then we've created works in our daughter's room. You know, part of her cleaning that up was that she got a chance to create a working art station and a spot to do her work in really remarkable ways. And so that changed and shifted exactly what it was that we were doing with her in that space. And so creating those delineations is really critical, because you can't go someplace else. You're stuck in the house. So you've got to creatively think about how you're going to utilize those living spaces and decide, you know, what is going to work best for your family. And it's going to be different for everybody and everybody else in the family. You know, somebody may end up having to use the kitchen table as their workstation. That's okay. You know, but is there a way to post a little sign on the kitchen table that says, this is Dad's workstation right now. When the sign is gone, Dad's work stuff is off the table and it becomes the kitchen table again.
That's great. And we have a comment from a mom who did do that, create a specific learning area for, she says, we created a specific learning area for our daughter and a specific working area for my husband with no TV rules during the working part of the day, which means I do chores, laundry, food prep, or get out of the house to do gardening or walk the dog. So being very, very conscious of those workspaces and allowing that to happen during the work part of the day. That's a great example. Thanks, Jennifer, for sharing that.
Cody
Cody
Flanders, who is on our, she's actually one of our semester course staff and is in the webinar. You know, for those families, if there are academy families here, you know, or families of former SOAR students, your kids have been cooking. You know, every kid who's ever attended a SOAR program has been, you know, chef for a day. Every student that has been a part of our academy has cooked and done meal planning. And so, you know, it may be helpful for you to unlock some of these skills, because your kids have participated and have done some of these things in remarkable ways.
Perfect. All righty. We have one more. I will be creating a schedule how to with your kids this Wednesday, and I'm hearing and brainstorming on ideas for them. We are all in it together. Super.
That's Cody.
Okay, Cody, super job. All right, guys. Well, if there's no more questions, we appreciate your time this afternoon. And thank you so much. Again, keep your eye out for Thursday on how to motivate your child when they're not quite being as compliant as you would like. And that's going to be again at 2 o'clock Eastern time. So John, any parting words for us?
Have fun, stay safe, figure out how to enjoy each other, and you know, and appreciate each other. You know, this is an opportunity to embrace and recognize that what is most important in our lives. And honestly, it's each other. So we're looking forward to getting a chance to continue to be part of your family. And thank you for, you know, attending the webinar today.
Thank you, John. And thank everybody for being here. Take care. Have a good one. See you on Thursday.